we're going to write this in vertex form. First thing we need to do is that 2. The fact that that 2 is there, we can't do the completing a square deal, so we're going to factor that away. So we're going to basically divide 2 from both terms. So 2x squared divided by 2 is x squared, and then negative 19x divided by 2, we're just going to leave it as 19 halves. Right now, when we complete the square, we're completing the square based on the 19 halves. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is divide it by 2. So multiply it by 1/2, and you get 19 fourths. And then we're going to square it. All right. So you're going to end up with, well, I think it's what, 381? Makes sense. Over 16. Let me just confirm that. $361. Sorry, it's late. All right, $361. So that's what you're adding on both sides. 361 over 16. When you're multiplying it on the left side, because we're adding it inside the parentheses on the right side, that 2 needs to be multiplied over here. So ultimately, it'll be 361 over 8, because the 2 and the 16, you can take a 2 out of both, right? So what you end up with is y plus 361 over 8 is equal to 2 times x squared minus 19 halves x plus 361 over 16. Then when you factor the right side here, it's going to be x minus 19 fourths squared. All right, and then when you subtract the 361 over 8, you should end up with is y is equal to 2 times x minus 19 fourths squared minus 361 over 8. All right, so that's the equation in vertex form, and then it appears it's going to then ask you to identify the vertex. So then that would just be the 19 fourths and then negative 361 over 8. Okay. Let's look at the other question you had. All right, so write the equation in vertex form, identify the maximum minimum. All right, so basically the same question at the end. It's going to ask you a slightly different thing about finding the minimum. That'll just be the y value of the vertex. I know it's going to be a minimum because I already know the a value here is positive, so it's going to open up. Even when we get in vertex form, that a value is going to be the same. So anyway, we'll find the minimum value at the end. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is subtract that 4.45 to the other side. So you're going to get y minus 4.5 is equal to 2/10 x squared plus 6/10 x. We'll have to do a similar deal as the last problem where we factored away the 2/10. So we're just going to divide it away from both terms. 0.6 divided by 0.2 is 3. And then the right side is still the same. Now we're going to complete the square based on the 3. When I divide it by 2, I get 1.5. I'm going to use decimal because we're already using decimals in this question. So instead of using a fraction, just stick with decimals. When I square it, you get 2. So that's what we're going to add on both sides. All right. So then when I add it to the left side, I also need to factor in that the coefficient out front is 0.2. So I really need to multiply it by 0.2 before I add it. All right, and when you multiply that by 0.2, it's just 0.45, which kind of works out, right? Because when I add negative 4.5, 4.45, and 4. Oh my gosh, negative 4.45 and 0.45, you just get y minus 4. And on the right side here, we have the 0.2 times x squared plus 3x. It's 2.2. When you factor that, you're going to get 0.2 times x squared plus, well, it's going to be the b divided by 2, so it'll be that 1.5. That's not squared there, that's just x, and then the squared's out front. And then we're going to add 4 to both sides. So the equation in vertex form is going to be y equals 0.2 times x plus 1.5 squared plus 4. So that's the equation in vertex form, and then it's going to ask you for the minimum or maximum value. Remember, we talked about how it's the minimum value because that's a positive. The vertex would have been negative 1.5, 4, where 4 is the y-coordinate. So that is the minimum value because that is the lowest point. It'll be the vertex, right? So it'll be the lowest point of the parabola. Every other y value will be higher than it. So that's why 4 is the minimum value. All right, hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have other questions.